Carrie's not.
And then he was village clerk for a while too.
I know. Rick Jefferson led the meeting Tuesday, and he.
We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please. Oh,
Chairperson Brightcloth,
here.
Commissioner Blaylock.
Here.
Commissioner Brown. Absent, Commissioner Buzard,
Here.
Commissioner Gratiter, welcome back.
Thank you.
Commissioner Romanelli
Here.
and Commissioner Rothbard is absent, but we have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from December 4th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? I did find one typo on page 3, a very minor one.
Is that raise versus a raise?
No, where's that one?
Under section 2, the second to the last bullet point says solar arrays. Solar arrays covering the entire site. I think it should be solar arrays.
Oh, solar arrays, yeah. It's also in that section, it says what elements of the plans were not a good fit for Riverwoods. It says were no a good fit.
Yeah.
So it's those two. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Thank you.
Item is,
Visitors, you want them?
I think,
Do visitors after?
yeah.
Yeah. okay.
Well, it's for any visitors wishing to address the commission on something other than on the agenda.
Exactly. Do we have any visitors who'd like to address the Plan Commission on items other than the hearing? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, other than on that,
Other than that matter,
we'll come to that later.
we'll take comments after we've heard from the developer and from the plan commissioners. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, then I think we can move to the hearing. The new business is proposed Quick Trip Corporation Service Station with convenience food store on Milwaukee Avenue. Would you like to take us?
Sure. So this is the beginning of a public hearing before the Plan Commission of the Village of Riverwoods. The applicant is Quick Trip Corporation. A notice of the hearing was published in the Daily Herald. Notices were mailed out. Apparently, some people received the notice. And a sign was placed on the property. The property itself is known as the Cell Barn Square. It's about 6.3 acres. It's currently an unincorporated territory. It's in Lake County. Quick Trip has been under contract to purchase the property for some time, and the owner of the property, the family that owns it, and Quick Trip have jointly petitioned the Village of Riverwoods to annex into the Village of Riverwoods. We can get into that a little bit later. Annexation has some advantages for someone opening a business. The property could potentially be developed in the county, but the applicant has decided it's more in their advantage to try and develop in the Village of Riverwoods. So the village itself has very little experience with the property. It's never been in the village before. A few characteristics about it, besides the fact that it's about 6.3 acres, is probably the half of it is in the floodplain. And you'll see that from the materials. The actual matters that are before the Plan Commission tonight are to consider zoning and classifying the entire tract, 6.3 369 acres, to the B1 Neighborhood Business District in the Village of Riverwoods, and to grant a special use for a mixed-use plan development, as described in Article B of Chapter 5 of our zoning ordinance. Under that particular section, a tract of at least 3.75 acres can become a mixed-use plan development. For example, the Shops of Riverwoods Shopping Center is already an example of that mixed-use plan development in the village. Also, the Thorntons and CubeSmart development is a mixed-use plan development in the B1 district. So this would be another example of that kind of mixed-use plan development. In mixed-use plan development, there are about 30 or so uses that are permitted of right. These tend to be uses that you would find in the neighborhood shopping center, such as the shops. These are uses such as banks, service businesses, restaurants. And in addition, there are special uses that can be authorized in a mixed-use plan development. The special use in question that the applicant is asking for is for an automobile service station and convenience store. This is exactly the same type of approval that the village granted for the operations of the Thorntons gasoline station. It's was approved as the same kind of special use. The reason we're having the zoning hearing tonight is because under state law, when property petitions to be annexed into a village, we're instructed to hold hearings on the zoning that we will grant after the property is annexed, but to hold the hearings before the annexation. There is already a notice published and a hearing planned before the Village Board of Trustees at their next regular meeting, which is April 21. So the subject of whether or not to annex is a decision that the Board of Trustees makes, but the Plan Commission is an advisory body which decides whether to recommend the zoning of the property, assuming it were annexed, and whether or not to recommend the granting of a special use, again, assuming that it were annexed. In the packet tonight, besides the notice of the hearing and what I've just been explaining, there are all the materials that Quick Trip Corporation has submitted as part of its application. This includes a narrative description, a brochure describing their operations. They have included a subdivision plat, civil engineering plans that show grading, demolition of the existing improvements, how they'll handle stormwater on the site, access and circulation. And then there are also architectural plans and renderings, including how the canopies will look, the signage for the property, light levels, a photometric study. So that's a general outline of where we are. Representatives of Quick Trip Corporation are here tonight. So it's their burden to explain to you the merits of their proposal so that you can debate and make a decision. Normally what we do is we allow the petitioner to make their presentation, then the plan commissioners ask questions, some clarifications, and then at that time you can take comments from the public on the proposal.
How you doing? Ali Bukrest, project manager with Quick Trip Corporation.
You can slide that back closer to you if you want. Yeah.
Yes, no problem. Ali, A-L-I, last name is Bukrest, B-U-K-H-R-E-S. First, I just want to thank the Plan Commission for allowing me to present. This has been an ongoing project, and we're glad to finally present Quick Trip and make a decision on how to move forward here and bring Quick Trip to Riverwoods. So I have a.
You want to know how to move advance the slide?
I don't think I have control of the slides. Oh, you can. Okay, perfect. Just a little glance at Quick Trip history. Quick Trip started in 1958 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Ever since then, we've been growing. We operate over 1,100 stores nationwide. Most recently, we opened up Elgin today. So that was our most recent store opening in the Chicago market, what we call the Chicago market. We operate over 10 stores right now, and we plan on operating over 100 stores by 2035. QuikTrip employs over 33,000 employees. Again, our nationwide stores from Arizona all the way to the Carolinas, we operate a little over 1,100 stores nationwide. QuikTrip is every single year we've been on Fortune's Best Companies to Work For. On average, we create about 20 jobs per location. Throughout the QuikTrip's history, we never laid an employee off, even during COVID. We also contribute 5% of our profits to charitable organizations. The top 3 charitable organizations we work with is United Way, Folds of Honor, and Safe Place. But we do work with multiple different organizations. What's unique about QuikTrip is the 5% profit that goes into the communities that we serve. So whatever this site makes, 5% of this profit, of this store's profit, goes back into Riverwood charitable organizations. And for Safe Place, if you're not familiar with that, it's for endangered youth. So any QuikTrip nationwide, any endangered youth, whether that's at home or at school or any issues in life, they can go into any QuikTrip nationwide, and every employee is trained to assist those youth and to get them help. Continue with the facts about QuikTrip. 90% of our employees have worked in the stores. I worked in the stores. I came from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and moved to Illinois about 4 years ago. I started out as a clerk, going to college. Didn't think I could make a career out of a gas station, but here I am. Now I'm doing real estate for QuikTrip. We always promote within. Most employees stay till retirement. I've been here for a little over 12 years, and I'm basically brand new compared to most of the folks that are still working with us. We also do annual competition between stores, each division through the entire company. They get 3 best of the best stores. So just a little fun competition. And then the 3 best stores in the country, they get to go to, I believe last year they went to Atlantis. The year before, 2 years ago, they did a Italy trip for on a cruise, and then they go to Hawaii too. So it's just a really competitive nature to keep our stores looking good, pristine. QuikTrip is owned by employees. It's not franchised. So we have a little more directive on to making sure our stores do look good, or it's clean, it's well stocked, good customer service, and that's all. Every single week you get secretly shopped to just make sure you're holding up to that standard, and you get the benefit of just having a healthy competition. A couple of programs we do offer is tuition reimbursement, daycare assistance, scholarships for any employee children, and an employee disaster fund that is completely voluntarily paid by other employees. So if a house fire, a weather event happens and destroys your home, and any other even health issues, we do have employee disaster fund that's completely funded by employees that helps other employees out. For store security, it is operated 24/7, 7 days a week. We work really well with local police, and we have 2 different 24/7 operations. One of them is in Dallas, Texas. One of them is in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So every employee is required to wear badges in the stores. So every time you're on shift, you come in, first thing you do, you clock in, you put a badge on. What that badge operates as, if any emergency situation, whether that's health, whether you need police, you just hit that button. And as you can see on that screen, every store is operated that way. As soon as you hit that button, it comes up on the screen. Those employees, as you can see on the phone there, will assess the situation. They'll go in live in that current store and send whatever emergency personnel that's needed. This is reiterating the employees wearing their pagers for any emergency situations, 4K cameras all around the store. Every single inch of our property is under surveillance, parking lot, inside the stores. And that's really for keep our employees safe and customers safe. In that screen right there, you could just see the web of the security system of where those, we have over 90 cameras in our stores, inside and out, so we get every single angle. For inside the stores, we do have a made-to-order kitchen and grab-and-go items. So we make fresh foods, whether that's subs, pizzas, chicken sandwiches. We just started fryers as well. So we do waffle fries, we do chicken wings, we do mozzarella sticks, and even apple pie, if you believe it. So we do have a full kitchen that we operate, and with quality food. And then next for the current site. So that is the current site. As you can see, that is the old winery. And then on the next photo, it will show you our proposed site plan. So we will be operating a 45 square foot building with a vertical 8 fuel pump canopy. So that is 16 fueling positions in all. And on the next plan is the landscape plan. So what the landscaping you see on the screen is what QuikTrip will be will have planted for their for our development. And then all the way, all the back area that's white, that will all be green space, and that will not be touched. So it's actually will be more green space whenever we develop our project than what currently stands as of right now. And store design, this is our Generation 4 QuikTrip. It will have dual entry from both sides of the front. That leads into one entry in the center of the store. This is our floor plan. To the far north of the floor plan, that will be our kitchen, our full kitchen. We have 6 points of contacts for checkout and then 8 individual restrooms. This is our canopy elevation. And this, the next few photos you'll see is the perspective of the building. As you can see, it will be masonry all around, along with tile. And that will conclude the presentation.
You had any further staff comments beyond what we had in the memo?
No, we didn't have anything else prepared besides what's in the memo and the packets for the commissioners.
From the commissioners?
Do commissioners have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Commissioner Greditor?
Yes. And they are brief. But number one, are you planning to create an area that large trucks would be sitting with the engines running and filling with diesel? Is that part of the QuikTrip plan?
No. There will be no commercial vehicles, semi-trailers fueling at this facility.
So we don't have to worry about vehicles sitting there and running the engines and smoking up the community. That's good. And the second, and it's very brief, what tier of gasoline does QT provide?
We only provide top tier gasoline. We also guarantee our gasoline nationwide. So if anything were to happen to your vehicle because of our gasoline, QuikTrip will fully pay for those mechanical fixes for it to be fixed.
So that I can then assume tier 1, which has all of the detergents and the additive into gasoline, yes?
Correct, to burn cleaner.
I've got a couple questions.
Okay.
What is the current zoning if nothing happens? What, you have a contractor, you own the facility currently. What could you do currently on that property?
So currently, you could still build a fuel station with a special use through Lake County.
Okay. Do we have any estimates of tax revenue to the village that might be generated?
So I don't have exact numbers. I could provide that to Plan Commission. On average, we do about 3 to 5 times a normal service station.
Okay, that does, I don't know what that means, but and maybe that's not our purview as the Plan Commission, but I was curious as a citizen.
We are interested in it. Unfortunately, we have some legal constraints on discussing the particular sales tax revenue that an individual taxpayer provides. That's confidential information. However, I can tell you that Thornton's, in its part of its public presentation, gave estimates to the village basically about the number of gallons that they would sell. And, they are among the largest taxpayers in the village, sales taxpayers. So traditionally, gasoline stations provide more sales tax than almost any other use that villages have, unless, they have a major shopping center, department store, something that generates a lot. As a sole standalone use, they typically are at the high end of the range.
Okay, and my last item is there's sustainability documents in the package that we got. The documents were pretty stale. I mean, I was kind of surprised they weren't fresher than they are. Can you help us understand what your sustainability commitment is to the community? It's something that's very important to Riverwoods. What do you see as leads to success of sustainability at a local, I'm sure each store has different success within your stores. So can you help me understand some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So for every single store that we do build, we do double wall tanks for our fuel system. Let's just make sure that there's no issues when it comes to fueling our whole fueling system. We have redundant sensors all around our fuel system. We also have a 24-hour monitoring on all of our fuel system, and not only our fuel systems, also inside the site, inside the store. So whether that's a refrigerant, whether that's any equipment, we operate that to make sure that it's efficient, it's running efficiently, so it's not using too much energy. And if it is using too much energy, we do have staff. It's called facility support. That is through QuickTrip. So we don't outsource our own facility support. So we don't have a maintenance or refrigerant personnel from outside the company that goes and fixes stuff. So it gets fixed promptly on QuickTrip's time. And so that whether it's refrigerant, whether that's cameras, whether that's TV, even TVs that we operate, everything is monitored to make sure it's running efficiently in our stores.
How about recycling and energy use? Can you help us understand that?
Yeah, so for windows, energy use, so our HVAC system, our windows, so that is also monitored and make sure that the energy is not just being wasted. We try to do our best when it comes to, we believe that we are the industry standard when it comes to operating a retail or just in general commercial buildings. For recycling, typically if it's required by the village or the city that we operate in, that's not something that will deter us away.
Okay. Do you incentivize your staff to recycle and perform sustainability similar to, your best store? It seems to me like who manages a store like that would be very instrumental in successful implementation of a sustainability plan.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So we do use now we do have, like, if you're talking about product, there is plastic product, there's plastic straws, but for our what QuickTrip produced for our kitchens, for example, we always use cardboard products, so that way it can be recycled. Even our pizza boxes, if you go buy a pizza from QuickTrip, is going to be a cardboard box that you can actually break apart and make into a plate, and you can recycle. So we do encourage recycling.
Thank you.
Couple questions? I'm sorry. I yield.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. Just want to build on a couple of questions there. So diesel, will you sell diesel from your station?
So for diesel, we will have diesel, but that will just be for your typical Dodge Cummins or
So like
your
passenger vehicles, not commercial over-the-road trucks and the like?
correct. So it would be like your typical landscape guy, or your what's that Jetta?
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
Passenger local, but non over-the-road commercial.
Absolutely not.
And is that because of the way the property is configured? Or, I mean, this road, we do get commercial traffic up and down, right?
Mhm.
And you're a gas station, they're going to stop, see QuickTrip, your well-known brand, right? So it's kind of hard to say absolute zero, right? But odds are that's not your target client, that you're a customer.
No, I would feel very confident to, I mean, maybe I can't say absolute zero. I can't say, there's no chance that a commercial vehicle will pull into our lot. We'll have deliveries, of course, but
Sure.
when it comes to fueling, you can't even fuel a commercial vehicle in a normal, just because you don't have the high flow pump.
Okay.
A product, and most of those vehicles will have two tanks on both sides.
Sure.
So it requires a satellite pump, or what we call a satellite pump. So once you start one pump, it automatically opens up the other side of the pump so you can fuel both at the same times, which we do not provide at this location.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. Just a quick follow-up then on the sustainability question. Stormwater runoff, I'm thinking about inevitably there might be a little fuel spill here and there. Talk to us about how you all treat, manage, prevent, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So for any spills, if there were to happen, there are protocols for our employees. There's for example, for a catastrophic spill, which is 30 plus gallons. So if that were to happen, our employees were to immediately go out there. We have it's like a long snake type thing that immediately goes over the drainage system, so it doesn't go in there. And then they put like an oil dry is what they do. They put on there, and then they immediately call the EPA, or who we have consultants all around the nation that will be there within 3 hours of any catastrophic spill. Sometimes even municipalities will require us to call the fire department. But we do have, within 3 hours, we'll have somebody out there. They'll clean up. I don't know the exact details of what they do to clean something up. When it comes to, I'm definitely not an environmentalist or, well versed in it, but those folks will go out there, they'll clean it up. And then not only do they have to clean it up, Illinois EPA requires you to report such spillage, and then they have to pass you and let you say, hey, you're good to go.
Okay.
So it's not, fuel is the most regulated, one of the most regulated things by the government. So there are a lot of protocols that you have to follow, whether if it's a catastrophic spill or even a small spill.
And then what about the tanker that comes in to refuel or refill your fuel tanks? Is that, what's that schedule like? It seems like every time I pull up to the gas station, they're there. So is that every day, twice a week, once a week? What's that look like?
That would be a hard, definite answer. It's just really dependent on how fast fuel is selling.
Okay, well, can you tell us about the size of the storage tanks you plan on having?
Yeah, so the storage tanks will be 15,000 gallons. There will be 4 of them. So it'll be underground. So typically if it sells quickly, it will be more often the trips. But on a typical store, I would say no more than 2 deliveries a week.
Okay, and then, so you can continue to honor the 225 a gallon here, right? That'll help us with the sales question you had,
There, folks.
right? Well, yeah, but you know, it's all about volume, transaction volume. Really appreciate you talking us through that a little bit. My last question for you is, out of all the places, how'd you pick this place?
So whenever we do pick a site, it is studied for about 2 to 3 years before we even initially go into a village or city to present our who we are and what we're trying to do. And the reason we do that is that we want to make sure traffic is there. In our line of business, you know, you're not going to go in the middle of nowhere and people are going to come to you. They're going to come to you where it's convenient. So we want to make sure the traffic pattern is correct. We want to make sure we have the correct location for our employees to grow and succeed. Ultimately, we're providing meals on other families' tables, and we want to make sure that we're doing it successfully. So we do take our time to deciding on where we want to go. We want to make sure that, you know, the growth's there. We want to make sure the opportunities are there, and we're not setting our employees up for failure or for as a company as a whole. So our employees are our owners, and that's why we take. Once we pick a spot, we check all those boxes. The traffic's there. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to be here. We're going to we will be able to make an impact in the community that we serve.
If I could take this just a bit longer, Riverwoods is a very unique community. One of the things that I read here is that you have future plans to have electric charging stations for vehicular needs, and that those stations will be installed when requests. There has to be what that means. I can make a request. Is that a number of people, and how long after that the company would consider putting in electric charging stations?
Yeah, so for electric charging stations, so for example, we have a market in Denver, Colorado. Some of those cities require us to put in electric charging stations. What we've noticed, not just from QuikTrip, but just from the industry as a whole, for gasoline stations, most folks with electric vehicles tend to go to their local grocery store where they can spend 30 to 45 minutes fueling. That is not, if that is decided that, you know, you want to see electric charging stations, we'll absolutely put it in there. That is not something we're against at all. We welcome it. We know it's coming. We just don't believe that the industry's there yet, specifically for fuel stations. Now, whether it's the shopping center or your grocery store, where you're going to spend significant amount of time to get that charging battery up, then yes, absolutely. But again, that is not something that we're against. We're definitely open to installing the charging stations now.
Commissioner Romanelli? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Commissioner Blaylock?
I noticed in your materials that you have a building management system that you say is used to conserve energy. Is that monitored locally or at the central office in Tulsa?
So yes, so that is monitored at the central office in Tulsa. So if you leave a freezer door open for too long, they'll call you on the phone. Hey, they'll know exactly which freezer door you left open. Go close it. Whether that's a freezer, whether that's any refrigerant. And then if it's, say like an HVAC system that's not operating correctly, they will get with our facility support and they'll put a call in to go get that fixed.
Okay. Are you using solar energy at any of your facilities? Have you considered putting solar panels on these installations?
We have, no, we have not. We haven't typically. I believe we have, I want to say maybe 1 or 2 nationwide that does use solar, or we're trying out solar, specifically in Arizona. the sun's always out. But not in the north.
All right, and I was going to ask about EV charging, but Sherry beat us to it. So,
I have a bunch of questions, but before I do, any more questions from commissioners? Okay. All right. So as I recall, when we heard about the Thorntons development, they did tell us numbers of potential tax revenues. And I would like that kind of information if it can be made available to
I
us.
think it'll be available to the board when they consider annexation. for
Okay,
sure.
that's good. Can you tell me what percentage is food sales and what is fuel sales?
Every store is going to be different. So
Can
typically,
I just ask a quick question? Is it the dollar value of the sales or the contribution to profit? Because they could have a great deal of sales and it doesn't represent the same contribution to the profitability of the store. You know, gasoline is sold at a very slight margin. So are you trying to get at the absolute volume of fuel sales versus food sales, or I'm not sure which?
I don't know how to phrase the question, but I'm curious as to, I guess it's profit. How much profit comes from, just percentage generally, from food versus fuel?
I'm not sure how much, it is a privately held company. I would throw a number out there. I would probably say 50-50. Maybe it's within 10-15% of that either direction.
Because I know you have food and the food you have said is important. So I'm curious, is it half the revenue or is it
It's
quarter?
pretty close to half the revenue.
Close
if
to
not
half?
Right at it.
Okay. Let's see. I was concerned about the landscaping plan, or I should say the lack of a landscaping plan. From what I see, I've counted something like 18 trees on the 3+ acre portion of the property. I see that there are a lot of those 18 trees, most are oaks or many are oaks, which is good, some native. But this is a community that likes woodlands and tries to restore woodlands and preserve woodlands. So is there a landscaping plan in the future that is going to be more wooded, or is it just going to be these few trees that you've shown on your plan?
So for the behind the store, I know that you're asking for in the front of the store, but behind the store is going to be heavily wooded. For the front of the store and all around the store, the interior and perimeter, we're definitely willing to work with staff and whatever staff recommends and that we're able to do. As long as, our visibility is important to us as well. But, we are more than happy to work with staff and get a landscape plan worked out to where it's agreeable to both.
Just one thing to note. Under the watershed development ordinance now, which is different from when developments, even when Thorntons was developed, the buffer area around the detention in that area has to be maintained with a native buffer. So I think part of the requirement on them will be to comply with that ordinance, and that will assure a certain amount of buffering in that area.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Madam Chair. I understand your concern with regard to perhaps a lack of number of trees, but we also have to be concerned about proximity of one tree to another. So for the trees to actually have a healthy growth, there is recommended distances between trees as we plant them, and that would be looked at by the village ecologists when they do come in for permit.
Well, I'm thinking,
That itself is probably going to restrict the number of trees that you're going to see on the south side and potentially immediately up against the east side of the building. On the rest of the property, we may find that the trees are probably actually a little too closely spaced for what they're planting. But I'm not the ecologist, so they will look at that during permit review.
and it doesn't have to be trees. I mean, it can be native plots,
Could be
sprinkled in amongst the
Right, it could
parking.
be almost anything. So where we may remove trees to get proper spacing, that area could be substituted with smaller native plantings, which is hopefully goes toward your concern.
Yeah, I would suggest that that be one of the conditions that if we approve this, it's in our recommendation. Okay. I do appreciate the sustainability plan. I'm impressed that the word sustainability even came up, so that's a good thing to see. I would like to know what other special measures you're going to do for Riverwoods as far as sustainability goes. I understand the general systems that you have, but this is an environmentally conscious community, so what more can you offer to the village?
Again, I am not an expert in this, so I would like to hear maybe what would you like to see? And then, I'm more than happy to take that to corporate office. We do have a whole environmental group. There are licensed environmental specialists. And we also work with environmental PhDs. We have done an sustainability environmental study in West Chicago, where it is actually a full what we call a travel center or a truck stop. We don't operate like a truck stop. We don't have showers or anything like that, but we do sometimes offer diesel for commercial vehicles. And now we tested the air within 500 feet, 1,000 feet, and then we had a PhD environmentalist go out there and do the testing. What that study showed, based off our operation and what measures we take, whether that's our equipment or sensors and all that, we actually operate below the California environmental standard, which is even stricter than the United States EPA standards. So whenever we operate our business, we take full efforts in sustainability. We do spend the extra funds to get better equipment, whether that's double wall tanks, sensors. We do work with the experts all around. It's ever changing. We're learning every single day what is the best sustainability, and QuikTrip is not afraid to go spend that extra funds to make sure that we are up to the standard and leading the industry in our line of business. But besides that, I really don't know. I guess I'll leave it up to you to just give me suggestions on what you would like to see, and I'm more than happy to take that to corporate and see whether we can, even if we can do it.
Thank you. I would suggest the EV charging station or two, and I would also suggest pretty thorough recycling of a variety of different materials, and also an investigation of some kind of solar usage at that facility. What do you think is going to happen to the extra or the other portion of the property? What are your thoughts on that?
Behind the store?
The portion, the other 3 acres to the north, I guess.
It's a 1 acre lot. The second lot is 1 acre.
Acre?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts as to the use of that property?
I don't have right now. We don't. So we market it for whatever commercial development that's allowed there. Again, just because we market it for commercial development doesn't mean that they can just come in and build. They still have to go through the same process that we do, and it's ultimately up to the village whether they accept the proposal or not.
So you said it's about 1 acre?
It's a little over 1 acre for the subdivision plat. And as I was saying earlier, because the property would be classified to the B1 district, you would look to the permitted uses in the B1 district, which are, think of as Shops of Riverwoods. It's basically a neighborhood business type listing of uses. And on a site that size, the building might be large enough to have 2 tenants, maybe. You have to also have room for parking. That site, correct me if I'm wrong, Ali, all of the stormwater detention needed for that site is being provided by the major site, by the major lot.
Correct.
So the site is available for development without having to, also provide detention on that 1 acre.
Okay, well, if there's a store there eventually, that would further bolster the EV usage, potential EV charging usage. Let's see. I think that's all my questions. Are there any other questions from commissioners? Yes.
Okay, so I think I heard you mention you have 10 properties, 10 stores in the Chicagoland area, is that right?
Correct.
And you aim for more than 100 by 2030?
2035.
2035. Okay, so where's the closest Quick Trip to this property?
So we have one that's currently open. Maybe Addison, Illinois. Addison or Rolling Meadows would be one. We have one as far south as Peoria, or not Peoria, I'm sorry, Peru. And then we have one in Yorkville. We have, goodness, you put me on the spot here.
Are you familiar if there are some on the other side of the state line?
Wisconsin? No, we don't have any in Wisconsin. So that's a different operator.
Okay,
That's a Quick Trip with a K. We're Quick Trip with a Q.
okay. Yep, I'm familiar. I'm from Missouri. Plenty of Quick Trips all over Missouri. Good, clean, cheap gas, as we see. They're going to give us $2 gas again. So then this would be kind of an outpost property for you in this part of the world. Do you plan on developing other properties in this region, Lake County?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some property that I can talk about. That's Deerfield.
I guess where I'm going is to my colleagues' questions about sustainability. Where are other applications that are in proximity? Can we get staff to go give us some insights on how these things that we're sharing with you are showing up in practical use in your existing facilities?
Yes. So the closest one that would be operating right now would be Addison. Now, Addison, I don't believe charging stations are there. I don't believe there's a recycling that's happening there. But that is the closest store that you can definitely go visit and see how the whole operation is done.
So maybe you could share with staff some of that contact information so that these things that, we're kind of touching on here, we can kind of run the ground, get a feel for, what's it like now that the operation has been going. You're a part of the community, part of our community neighborhood, and we can anticipate you would replicate those kinds of experiences for us and maybe even some additional consideration based upon the things that we're talking about today and before we move forward. What's the build time for this project?
So once permits are in hand, it's usually about 26 weeks.
Okay. Okay. Do you work with local contractors or you have a national contracting team that you bring in?
So we work with local contractors. We have a general contractor. Most of the subcontractors are going to be local.
Okay. And then maintenance repair during operations, you all bring your national partners in, or do you work with local partners?
Maintenance repair for our operating stores, that's all done in-house. So we have facility support that is nationwide.
Masonry, tuck pointing, you guys got that all in-house?
Yep.
Electrical,
There's some-
HVAC, you got that all in-house?
Yes. Yep.
Some guy has a little extra cheer, pulls up too close, breaks a window. You guys got local window contractors, or you manage that in-house?
We manage that in-house as well, yeah.
Okay, so once the build is done, probably not a lot of contracting opportunities for local partners to
Okay,
support.
so yeah, mostly it would be landscaping,
Facility cleaning, material
facility cleaning.
supply.
So that would be our employees. So we're required to, being in the stores, you're required to clean the store every 30 minutes. But that's bathrooms, windows, floors. They call them doors. I'm just so used to saying it. Bathrooms, floors, doors, all glass inside, all counters, and and that's every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got a couple.
Okay.
Can you explain where you see the advantage of the annexation request that you're making? I'm just curious from your perspective. I can see many advantages for us having input in how this property interacts with our community. So, but why are you asking for the annexation?
Yeah, so the annexation, so mostly for, utilities, being able to connect to utilities. I know Lake County is allowing us to use the sewer, but again, water is a big one. Buffalo Grove does have a water line in the front. No property abuts Buffalo Grove, so we can't annex into Buffalo Grove. Not that we chose, we haven't, we didn't even, not to say that we even looked into Buffalo Grove, but that's just a reality. And so annexing into Riverwoods allows us to get easier access to water, which is very important to our development. And then, just being in part of a smaller community. I know QuikTrip is a nationwide company, but we like being part of a community and making a big impact. Lake County is big. We just like to introduce ourselves to smaller communities and show the impact that we can make for those communities.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, then we'll go to the public and see if anybody has comments that they would like to make. We will ask that your comments be restricted to 3 minutes, please, because we have a lot of people here. When you come to the microphone, please identify yourself.
Art Heidenberg. I used to work with the late Phil Spinoza, talking about community. He was there for 62 years. The man was kind and tough. He was a businessman. He made a will with a downtown super award-winning lawyer, $5,000. And everyone knew it was the best concise. It was well written. It had 6 beneficiaries. It had Betty Fox, 50%, 10% for other niece, Liz Krabowski, Craig Diamond. They got daughters, 40 years old, 10%, 10%. So property sold for $3.2 million. She was entitled to 1.6. The other was 5 other families from his big family sisters. This woman is committing $1 million fraud. I want you guys to know, I'm going to probate. I'll donate my 10%. I will donate it. It's fair to Phil. And community, that woman is stealing from her family with daughters, $320,000 from 4 other families. Why is she not happy with 1.6? He loved her the most. He kept her and trusted. And to make a $5,000 will and a file, he's got dementia.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? We're here receiving comments on QuikTrip's proposal.
I'm just telling you guys, the QuikTrip proposal for you, I don't know what the build time is. Your build time can be way off. My time is off 2, 3, 4 years. QuikTrip, I know that too. And she is a fraud. She committed a crime. You understand this? I don't know how a human's earthly soul turned into a criminal. Why would she do that? Why? She can hate me. I could be a mass murderer. I don't care. The other 4 family members with daughters, how dare her? And I'm speaking for Phil. And he paid $5,000 for the will. With Gregory Man downtown, he says this is the only will that exists. And I've seen it with my own eyes. The 2 witnesses, one was my brother. The other one was Ann Shuroff. She's in Highland Park. I'm like, she's going to be able to tell you, yes, Bernie, I see no proper allocations. Only 6 people. A man doesn't make a will. It doesn't say the word beneficiary in the whole will or allocations. And guess what else it says? I'm Phil. I got dementia, right? I'm going to say, it's my desire for you, Bernie, and all these people listening, all my other family members, but the decision is up to Betty. Who makes a will? Wouldn't you just give 100% to Betty? Why would you say these people listen? Well, it's Betty's decision. And Ralph Donovan came to me. You know what he told me? Hey, Betty, my uncle leave me anything? You know what she tells him? She says, what she tells him? He didn't like you. He'd rather give $1,000 to a stranger. I might give you $1,000. That's a man that is his assets is $320,000. She's got the nerve to be a criminal. She's going to lose her $1.6 million. She's going to have an orange jacket on. That's what's going to happen.
Thank you very much.
Just know that look, Bill Time and community man. That man was there for 62 years. Talk about trees. He was a tree. He was a patriarch. People don't realize that. He deserves more respect than what he's getting. He had a kind, warm soul. Not many. He would help. If you were late on your rent, he would pay it. People, he'd call people from the hospital and say, hey, you need anything? You'll get your effing money.
Cut this off.
I want to tell you that community is people. And if
Thank you, sir.
you're starting off on a real bad note with a demonic tone, this woman is a, people go and steal $500 out of Home Depot. She stole $1.6 million.
Excuse me. Thank you for your,
It will be,
thank you. Your time's up.
it will be released.
Thank you.
50% will off the internet won't work.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want my money. I want the 4 families of daughters.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Incorrect. Just know that that's the backdrop. You get your text on that evil. And he was a kind soul, kind soul.
If you could please take your seat now, there are other people who need to know. If you could please take your seat.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
I live on Inverurie Lane. RISDON. I'm a little short for the mic, sorry.
It'll bend. You can. You want me to do this?
No. No. Hi. I live on Inverurie Lane, and we're in the community that's directly.
Yeah. Excuse me one second.
You can
Better?
also,
You can bend it.
Oh, okay. I don't want to damage anything.
No.
Better?
Being recorded, so we need to not only be able to hear you in the room, but those who are listening in online can
Okay.
hear you as well.
All right. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sue Risden. I live on Inverurie Lane, and we're in the community directly across the street that's going to be affected by this build. One of the things that we've all talked about and we've talked amongst ourselves is there's 6 gas stations within not even a mile already. 2 of them are south. They already have convenience stores with food. 4 of them are north. 2 of those have convenience stores with food, which quite frankly leads me to wonder, how is this going to be remotely bringing in enough tax base for Riverwoods? How are they going to compete with 6 other businesses that are already established? That's the first question. The second one is during their build, if they're going to have to grade, because the water table there is so very high, whenever anyone builds, they always have to raise the ground level and put in either a moat or a pond. We're concerned that we're going to end up being flooded since that is part of a floodplain. And quite frankly, today of all days, while we're all under a flood alert from the Des Plaines River until Sunday, we are concerned. We don't want to end up having the ground raised directly across the street from us so that we get flooded every time the river gets high. Also, the build. What kind of construction damage are we looking at here? Everyone knows when construction goes on, and the gentleman from Quick Trip said something around 26 weeks. The noise, the dust, the dirt, and also what sort of construction is there going to be on a regular basis if they put in something like an auto repair place, which has been mentioned. No one wants to live directly across the street and listen to all hours of a pneumatic screwdriver, or whatever they use to take the tires off. The other thing we're concerned about is environmental study to affect the forest preserve, the wildlife, and the water table, seeing as how our water comes from the Picara Water District, which is just down the street, and the creek that runs directly next to the property north of that intended build is part of the floodplain. That creek runs over and empties into the aquifer where we get our drinking water. That's unfortunate and concerning. The other thing is, I live on the south side in the Inverurie Association. There are 448 units with a minimum of 2 cars per unit. So we're talking about approximately 1,000 cars. The other side of Inverurie has 2 condo associations and single family homes. I'm unclear on the number of people, but there's one way in and out down Inverurie Lane, and that's the Milwaukee Avenue light. It's already a choke point. Traffic there is a nightmare getting in and out, particularly during busy times, rush hour morning and evening. And we are very concerned about what kind of impact we're going to have from a gas station and convenience store directly across the street from us, helping add to the pressure. So these are all big questions and big concerns that we have from our community. I understand they're petitioning you guys to annex it. Lake County indicated they were not interested in okaying them to have that property when we talked to them last May when we went to the zoning board meeting. So I talked to another resident who told me today he spoke to Lake County Zoning Board. They were unaware that this meeting was even happening. So when you asked about why they would be interested in being annexed, my guess is because Lake County was not going to give an okay to this request right up front. So these are all the concerns that we have. Oh, the other one that I just have after hearing it's 24 hours, we're going to have lights on blasting down out at us for 24 hours a day, all night, every day of the year, and noise.
Wildfire.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big concern. So these are the issues that the community that lives directly there are facing, and we are very, very worried about this. So we'd appreciate you all taking a long, hard think about it before you give them permission to do this on our front step. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, how many people use Milwaukee Avenue? Or does everybody in the room?
You know, we'd like to ask people not to talk from their chairs. If you have a comment to make, yes, it has to do with how we conduct meetings.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Dear commissioners and fellow members of the public,
Please identify yourself.
I'm Dmitry and I'm a resident of the same street. That's my fellow neighbor right there. And I appreciate that she basically took half of my speech.
What's your last name, sir?
Sklarov, Dmitry Sklarov.
Spell it, please.
The records, yes.
Would you spell it, please?
Sklyarov.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So, first of all, thank you very much for expressing our concerns. You basically took half of my speech, so I will be way shorter than I was presumed to be. Thank you very much. I share and second every argument you have presented. And given the facts, I would like to remind each and everyone, this is Riverwoods, and the keyword here is the river. What we're trying to do is to put another gas station on 1 square mile. We already have 6, you are correct. And I drive the street for like over 15 years. It was long enough to fall in love with this area and buy property here. But our property value there won't be any benefits from that project. There were no single word that will benefit our community. No single word that will address our concerns. Ecology, the river. You're basically trying to put a gas station, which is by design, it's a pollution generator, into the area where we already have 6. Now, in my early days, I used to be a truck driver, an OTR, if you will. I know what the gas station is. I sold tens of them, hundreds of them. It's not a quiet area. It doesn't benefit property value because nobody wants to live around the gas stations. But this is Riverwoods, excuse me. So I object. And I support any and fellow neighbor that will object as well. And I would like you to consider our objections. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Please step forward.
I also represent, my name is Judy Mendoza. I also represent the neighborhood directly across from the proposed location off of Inverary. If you travel down Inverary, amongst all the townhomes and all of that, when you get to the end, there's another subdivision with an additional 60 homes. Again, one way in, one way out. There is, if you've ever traveled that area and gone into where that quick trip proposal would be, there is, at that light, when you're exiting, there is no way to go straight onto Inverary because of the way that light is. So first of all, there's a very big traffic issue, already traffic issue, but that light is a problem. and it would be coming in and out of a Quick Trip. Again, I would like to reiterate, in a 1 mile radius, we have a Shell, 2 Speedways, a Thornton's and a Woodman's. Yeah, 2 Woodman's. There is no reason for an additional gas station. I cannot think of one reason that it would be appropriate to have in a 1 mile radius that we don't have that need. Next, I have a concern about the one-room schoolhouse. That is a historic building that sits in that area. What is the plan? Are you going to tear it down, rip it down? It is a historic building. It's the oldest one-room schoolhouse. It should be considered to transfer it at least if you're ripping down that entire area. And I'd also like to reiterate that I believe that the annexation that has come to you is because of Lake County does not want this and did not want to entertain this idea. So I'd ask that you consider that before you approve something like that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
My name is Jim Heidner. I have a unit that's directly facing this development. First thing I'd like to say is I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address the board. I heard a mention of another 1 acre site that's adjacent to this. I didn't hear anything about access of that site. Is that site going to access directly to Milwaukee Avenue? Or is there going to have to be a right of way through this development to the intersection? None of that was addressed. This is not good planning. It's not good zoning to develop this parcel this way. As has been mentioned by several of the other speakers, there are a multitude of gas stations up and down Milwaukee Avenue. I went a little further than a mile. I got 10, including this one. I counted this one as 10. This one would be the 10th one. That's a little ridiculous for the number of service stations in that small of an area. Can Milwaukee Avenue support all those developments? No. You talk about, many of you mentioned sustainability. Well, some of those businesses are going to go under. They all can't survive. And your Thornton's is a huge station. The Woodman's is a huge station. They're not these just 2, 4, 6 pump stations. There's these humongous stations. There's just not enough market for them all to exist. Secondly, this particular site also was before Lake County, has also been mentioned. Lake County, the environmental engineers did not approve it. They recommended against this development, particularly a service station there. I think the fact that I did not hear any testimony from this board concerning what Lake County had already worked on, appalling. That is not good planning and it's not good zoning. And I believe Lake County rejected the development, or developer seeing the opposition withdrew the appeal and then thought, well, the next best avenue must be Riverwoods. And so they came to you. You were not their first choice. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments?
My name is Kristen Conley, and I too live across the street in that development of housing across the way. I echo everybody's concerns about the environmental safety and having a service station and the oversaturation of the market. But additionally, the 1 acre parcel that can have storefronts right across the street, there is a strip mall. There is area for storefronts. It's oversaturated in that too, whereas there's just not a need. And I don't think it's good planning or good use of space.
Hi guys, my name is TJ May. Thank you for doing what you do. Sorry, TJ May. So what you guys do is tough. sitting here all night and every night that you choose to be here. And I want to be you, and I envy you. And I'm glad my fiance helped me write all this down. Otherwise, I'd go crazy. So if I were in a position such as yours, as someone who speaks as a resident of Chevy Chase for many years now, and to one day find my family on a Riverwoods lane, I'd like to argue the following. Although one might believe that this is as bold, I've never met Philip, and he passed over a year ago, and I don't think that this is what he would want. And oddly enough, as someone born in Palatine 26 years ago, I don't think the first generation of 1800s Potawatomi would I have wanted this either. We're beyond blessed in the world we live in, but we all know that there's far too many pumps on that corridor of Milwaukee as is. I don't believe going through the hassle of annexing the land, connecting the infrastructure, and tearing down historic pedestrian-friendly architecture would make this a worthwhile venture. Looking at the map of Illinois, as a majority, if not all the quick trips sit directly on a U.S. interstate. This is not the place for it. Given the proximity of the southbound Speedway station, it would probably be a more likely venture for Quick Trip to just try to make out a deal and renovate that as theirs. We've already talked about electric charging, so we all know that that's probably not going to happen for like 15 years, if at all. So when I got home today, picking up my fiance, and we went to Kenosha for our wedding tasting, I saw 3 kids playing off their front porch off of the Inverary neighborhood. And for their sake, I argue that the appeal of a colonial architecture and a gathering place is far more suited for a growing village rather than another gas station that is clearly out of place. With that said, the traffic from braking and accelerating will alter the entire region for the worst. Today, I was pulling out of Chevy Chase. I was passing the Gerber Glass building, and I imagined in my head having to immediately brake because somebody was turning into that Quick Trip. Sometimes getting out of Chevy Chase will take me 7 minutes, and it just makes no logical sense. And my fiance is just like, just make a U-turn down the road. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense either. Regardless, with what I've discussed, I think that this can directly argue against the Section 9-11-9-D requirements outlined for our community. And the other day, I thought about a very good ending line. I want to live in this town for a really long time, not just a quick trip.
I'll keep this quick. I'm Randy Riston. I live on the first cul-de-sac of Inverary Lane. I want to know when there's a lot of used to be a lot of crashes at that intersection. It was horrible. Who's going to respond with emergency equipment? Is that Village of Riverwoods? And there's an accident on your side, on the Quick Trip side?
On the Quick Trip side, well, it would depend where the boundaries end up being when the.
Sorry?
It would depend where the boundaries end up being on the annexation, but normally the boundaries extend to the far side of the road unless there's been a prior annexation on the other side of the road. So we'd have to look at the map. But for example, at Milwaukee and Deerfield, Buffalo Grove and Riverwoods both have part of that intersection, and that usually is how it happens.
Okay, that's usually who responds. I just wondered if Riverwoods was going to expend any kind of help in that situation. Thank you.
Are there any other comments?
Hello, my name is Marta Griegel, Grigiel. I just want to second everything Sue and the others have said. Oversaturation of gas stations, very congested road already. There's just no need. The fact that we did have a meeting back in May and it's an unincorporated area and that wasn't approved for multiple reasons. I think it was postponed and then they came back to Riverwoods. It is a concern, so I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
We can ask if Holly wants to.
Are there any other questions from the public? All right, Mr. Mr. Ali, would you like to respond to any of these comments?
Thank you for the opportunity to respond on some of these concerns. I just go down the list. I wrote down the concerns is oversaturation. you know, we've been in business for almost 70 years now. We see this, like I said, we study the areas that we're going to go in. Can't tell restaurants, you can't build on top of restaurants. So we believe in this site. We believe that there is a need. And just based off of our expertise of 70 years in the business, we believe we are the industry standard. This is a unique opportunity for Riverwoods, and we believe that this is a good location for our facility. For the floodplain, we do have regulations that we have to meet. That is Lake County regulations. That's Riverwoods engineer. It's not that QuikTrip just comes in, slaps plans on the table. Hey, we want to build here. There are regulations that we have to meet and standards that we have to meet based off Riverwoods and Lake County storm ordinance. For the Lake County, a lot of comments came up on Lake County that they denied it. Lake County did not deny the project. So it was determined that for specifically utilities, it would be best to annex. So that was the reasoning for annexation. Environmental, I believe it was environmental flood and aquifer. Again, that is, we do have precautions in place. Like I stated, there are regulations. Fuel is a heavily regulated item in the United States that we do have to follow all the rules and standards to make sure that nothing, no penetration into drinking water happens. There was a couple of those lights in wildlife. We are required to keep our lights in our property lines so it cannot overspill into any other property. I'm not sure if, how close some of these neighbors are to the facility, but they won't have any light penetration from our station into their property. We do have a photometric plan that shows that as well. And then for development access, so we did submit a traffic study into IDOT. IDOT is in agreement with our traffic study. We're actually redoing on QuikTrip's dime the whole intersection of Milwaukee. So we have to upgrade the signals. Just the way they are right now is not sufficient. So QuikTrip does have a signal design that will happen. Again, that is IDOT controlled road. So if we even QuikTrip says, hey, we want to have this access, we still have to go through IDOT and get that access. So the only approved access point is at that current intersection. There will be no other access point on Milwaukee to the QuikTrip facility. So what you see today is what you see the current access will be. I believe I hit on everything. Again, if Planning Commission has any questions for me, I'll be more than happy to answer this.
Could I could just provide a little bit of background about the utilities because that's come up a number of times. The site doesn't have a sewer or water currently. They have septic and they have a well. They don't have Lake Michigan water. And so we initiated discussions with Lake County some months ago once QuikTrip had indicated its interest in annexing about allowing QuikTrip to get a sewer connection with Lake County, which is going to require that QuikTrip install the sewer main over to the Bacara plant underneath Milwaukee Avenue. Then on the subject of water, Lake County recently completed some improvements with Buffalo Grove. There's a water main that Lake County has that is supplied with water by Buffalo Grove, which is Lake Michigan water through the Northwest Water Commission. We actually worked with Lake County for 4 or 5 months to see about QuikTrip being able to go underneath Milwaukee to tap into the Lake County water main. And Lake County was open to it, but it would have to get approval from Buffalo Grove because Buffalo Grove supplies the water. So I thought most of that neighborhood over there was on the verge of getting Lake Michigan water. I don't really know the situation, but I know that Lake County now has Lake Michigan water on that side of Milwaukee Avenue. So as part of these discussions and in the annexation agreement, though you haven't seen it, Quick Trip has agreed with us that we'll continue to try and get access to water that Buffalo Grove is supplying. Buffalo Grove does have a main in Milwaukee. As an alternative, Quick Trip in the annexation agreement is open to bringing a Riverwoods water main over underneath the river, which would provide us an entirely independent source of water at Milwaukee Avenue. So basically, there's a water terminus of the village system right now at the end of Thorn Meadow. That could be extended underneath the river and brought, it turns out that the terminus at Thorn Meadow is about equidistant. If you draw a line across with Quick Trip, they would run it across over to Quick Trip. That would be beneficial to the village. It would supply initially only Quick Trip, but it would ultimately, the plan would be to run that point from Milwaukee north up to Thornton's, and we would create a loop so that all of the village property west of the river would be served by water main that was looped. So Quick Trip has not shied away from being responsible for the lion's share of that cost if that's the only way to get water to the site. So that's an indication of how difficult it is to provide water to the site. They can't, if they don't touch Buffalo Grove in a way that allows them to annex to Buffalo Grove. If they did, then that would be a cheaper, they have a possibility of getting water a little bit more easily, but they don't. And so the reality for that site is the only way to get water is through some effort that the village of Riverwoods is making. I don't know if that clarifies anything for you, but just the scope of the efforts to bring water over from Thorn Meadow to Quick Trip, by our engineer's opinion of probable cost, is approximately $2 million. So this is not an insignificant thing to be able to supply water to this site, and to do so in a means that, you know, potentially allows the village to create a loop as well. That's all in the annexation agreement. It's not here, you know, before tonight, but we have been working with Lake County for probably 5 or 6 months on these issues. And in no time have they told us that they think it's a bad idea for us to approve this use as a use. That has never come up in our discussions with Lake County. They've been open to trying to meet their requirements for sewer.
I'm a little bit confused as to what the current zoning is and what can be done on the property under the current circumstances. Can you provide any clarity? Because I think you said earlier that you could build a filling station on that site as is.
Correct, with the special use to Lake County.
Okay, so you'd have to get a special use?
Correct. Or maybe a conditional.
My name is Rich Kazaritz. I'm with Marcus Chapman.
Wait. You have to wait till you get to the microphone because we can't capture it all.
My name is Rich Kazaritz. I represent the property owner. I've been involved with this property with Mr. Spinoza for 5 or 6 years, up until the point he recently passed away. The property is currently zoned commercial in Lake County, and within that district, a gas station is a permitted conditional use. So it's important to understand the difference between a special use and a conditional use. A conditional use is a permitted use, provided you make certain aspects of the development in compliance with the granting of that conditional use. A special use is something different. So right now, the property is zoned commercial. We could develop that property for any type of commercial uses that are permitted under the current county zoning, which would include a service station, amongst other things, right? In addition, Lake County had approached us wanting to get an easement from us to fix a problem that Lake County has with their sewer system that needs to be replaced. We were totally open in working with them on it. Quick Trip is perfectly open in working with it on it. Is a total public benefit for the whole area because the system's failing. So in the process of developing this property, it's going to solve a big problem. Lake County is waiting for Quick Trip to help and assist in that process. So just to be clear, so everybody is up to speed on this, it's a permitted conditional use under the current Lake County zoning, and you can go look it up. It's there. Thank you.
The easement that Lake County needs, Lake County is replacing its force main from Port Wine Road. It comes under the river through the forest preserve, Port Wine and Lake Cook. It goes through the forest preserve, under the river, all the way over to Milwaukee. It goes just past the cell barn. It goes actually right where the extra space facility is and crosses Milwaukee. That force main is very old. And Lake County is in serious planning to replace the whole thing. And one of the quid pro quos for Quick Trip getting access to sewer with the county is granting a 30-foot permanent easement, or is it 20? I forget which it is, but it's a permanent easement across part of the Quick Trip property. Fortunately, it doesn't impact their ability to develop it, but they're granting an easement on the subdivision plat in order to allow Lake County to replace the force main without having to negotiate separately, through a eminent domain proceeding. So I think that's what Rich is referring to. Does that make sense? Okay. Any other? Yeah. If there are any other comments, questions, then.
If there are no other comments, we will close the hearing and have a discussion. Any other comments that people have?
I have a motion to close the hearing.
I think this gentleman wants to say one more thing.
Sorry, TJ May again. Just, I had thoughts, just if you do approve it. Connect Inverary to the River Woods Trail, to the river trail. Like, it's so annoying. I have to go park at that apartment tower just to walk there. Like, there's already a dirt path. I did it the other day just to get back. Like, if they do allow this, then we got to allow all. I mean, we were talking about how many people live on that side of the river. Like,
So you're suggesting a trail from Inverary so that you could access the river.
Inverary neighborhood in Chevy Chase, yeah, because the sidewalk just stops on the east side of the street just abruptly. And I understand it's not the most profitable to build pedestrian infrastructure, but if we're going to invest $2 million for underground, I think we can put a little bit above ground too.
It's an interesting suggestion, yeah.
Any other comments? All right, so we can close the hearing. Yes, I entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the hearing is closed and now we can discuss. Any thoughts from commissioners? Commissioner Blaylock?
It seems to me like the plan is not altogether there yet. I think it needs more work around sustainability issues. It needs more work around electric vehicle charging. I don't think it's in a position to be recommended for approval right now. I think there's more information we need and more commitments. And one of the things I'm wondering, I agree the intersection at Inverary and Milwaukee is a bad intersection. Is there a way that intersection could be improved through this? Because the Sale Barn Square side of that intersection is kind of screwy and it's not straightforward. So if it was an actual normal cross intersection, that might be part of this.
Well, that's an IDOT decision. There's a couple of possibilities here. I mean, we can ask them to come back on sustainability. You can simply include it in your recommendation because the board has to consider the entire subject of annexation. And the special use ordinance and all of that is part of what they're considering. So that's another possibility. I mean, I don't think they're going to have an answer on solar panels in a week or 2 weeks. I think if you recommend as a condition that they include EV charging stations, that you could just include that as part of your recommendation, to the board. But I mean, Steve, I'm not sure I know what is wrong with the intersection there at Milwaukee, but if IDOT is saying that they're going to leave it the way it is, then that again may be tilting at windmills. What is the problem that you see there?
Well, it's not, there's Inverary coming into Milwaukee, but then the entrance to Sale Barn Square isn't straight across. It's kind of, you got to kind of do a little bit of, it's offset.
Yeah, it's offset.
Well, is the problem for people in Inverary getting into the Sale Barn? Or is the problem, when someone is coming in Milwaukee and wants to turn into the property?
The problem is coming out of Sale Barn and going into Sale Barn and the confusion of the intersection. And there have been a lot of accidents there.
It's more than a 90-degree turn, right? You gotta, I'm sorry. I think, yes, number one, there is an offset intersection, if memory serves me correct, right? There's that 7-Eleven that sits there on the corner opposite of the, right? Right, and so when you're making that turn, it's a pretty, there's a left turn arrow there, I believe, right?
No, it's just the standard. Sale Barn has ceased anything, accidents have gone way down. People don't do their blinkers right ever here. And there's a lot of accidents when there's a lot of commerce going on on that side.
I don't think it's a problem with moving the intersection. That's easily fixable with curbs. It's just the fact that is already a hot area. And getting IDOT to approve a turn lane, a turn light, like there's so much that has to go into it.
For sure. Just go sit there and let the light and see.
Any other comments, discussion?
I'd like to, I'd like to see some conversation between the neighborhood community and Quick Trip with respect to many of the issues that we heard presented this evening, and other matters that we've entertained as a commission. We've had that kind of conversation, or at least to understand there has been some dialogue with respect to development and how that would impact adjacent property, neighborhoods. I'd like to see some of that have had already taken place, so that by the time we would have a conversation like tonight, some of those issues could have been, feted out between the parties, or some type of agreement or resolution to offset, maybe some long tail risk or concerns would have been fleshed out before, right? So that conversation thread I had with the gentleman representing Quick Trip about you're a good neighbor in the neighborhood, right? You've done your diligence with the community. I would like to have seen some of that fleshed out. And if there is an opportunity to take away from tonight those kinds of discussions, I think that would be helpful.
I've got a couple thoughts, and I'm a bit all over the board on this. I echo your thoughts. Excuse me. I was sick last week, so I'm still struggling off of that. But when I think about Orphans of the Storm, they had several meetings before they ever got to us related to the communities. Nobody showed up at the meetings, but they tried to engage with and it appears that has not happened. I understand the oversaturation issue. However, I don't think it's our business to tell a property what they can do related to, I didn't think Thornton's would thrive the way it's thriving, right? So that property is going to get developed at some point. there's been a thoughtful presentation of what they will do. I am, and I think that's why I've asked a lot of questions about the zoning currently, what can happen, because you might end up with something worse than what you think you are. Excuse me. I am, if we annex this property, I believe the Riverwoods ordinances and regulations are, protect an awful lot of the things that the community cares about, and things like landscape and flood control and all of those types of things. We've protected you to a certain extent through what are probably more stringent ordinances than Lake County might impose, and possibly even more so than Buffalo Grove, although I have no knowledge there, but we are pretty tough, especially with the woodlands and stuff. So I think, and from a community member here, the thought that we don't control what happens there, I'd rather be the stewards of that property than somebody else probably, because at least the community here has a say on it, and we all do drive by that all the time. So I'm interested in further discussion, I guess. I am, and I'd love to see how Quick Trip could give you comfort on a lot of the things that you are concerned about. But just remember that property is something's gonna happen there eventually. I mean, it's property gets developed. And so thank you.
Commissioner Redditor?
Okay. From what I'm hearing, and I try very hard to listen on both sides. And I understand, Lord, I do understand concern. But there are things I'm hearing on the potential Quick Trip development, which would be beneficial to you. Underground vaults for flooded water containment that would get overspill into sewer systems and protect you from flooding. It sounds that way. Sometimes I wish I was an engineer, but I sure am not. But from what I'm reading in the packet from Quick Trip, that will benefit you in the prevention of overspill that you deal with now. And that would be a wonderful thing if overflows could be detained underground in underground vaults and ultimately directed into sewer system. Would be good for the houses across Milwaukee. I wouldn't even begin what Milwaukee will look like with the new development, the proposal on Milwaukee. And I don't know how bad the traffic will be worse, and I don't think it can't be worse right now anyway. But what I'm looking at in what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is a lot of responsibility from the developers and concern for a community they want to come in. And it makes me feel more comfortable for you, the adjacent homeowners, not just from what might have gone in any other place. I have nothing else to say.
Yes, Commissioner Romanelli.
Thank you. There was one comment by one of the residents across the street regarding what type of vehicle maintenance does Quick Trip ever intend to do on site besides sell gas and a convenience store? Could you address that concern? And then the second part is, when he's done, where are we headed tonight as the Plan Commission? Is there a motion that we're to consider? I'd like some comment from our attorney. Thank you.
So for, do I need to say my name again? No, okay. There will be no service, no oil, nothing, just the pumping, fuel pumps, yep. And then, can I say one more thing? I'm so sorry. For the charging station, we can make that a condition, I'm completely fine with that. So if you want to see charging stations, I can put that on the plan. We updated plans and show charging stations installed.
Thank you. Want to comment on that?
Oh, okay. So the Plan Commission can continue to discuss it at another meeting. The board is going to have a hearing on the annexation agreement on the 21st. After the board's hearing, it could decide to annex the property. The current annexation agreement says that the current plan is a preliminary plan and that they have to come back with the final plan that meets all of our requirements. So the board may look at the current status of the plans and say, well, it's good enough for annexation. You still have to come in and get approval of a final plan. And then there might be an opportunity to have more discussion here and, whatever revisions are made. The general schematic is that the final plan is supposed to conform substantially to the preliminary plan. So if there are aspects of the preliminary plan that you just aren't comfortable with, then you shouldn't recommend approval of it. And the board would then have to send this back to you before it could take action. Now, we might end up calling a special meeting of the Plan Commission. This wouldn't be a continuation of the hearing. This would just be a special meeting. And I say that because we're told that there's some pressure on the timeline for the contract, and they've been at this a long time, getting extensions because we were working with Lake County for so long trying to solve the water and sewer problems. So if there's any way for us to meet again before the board meeting, the first board meeting in May, that might be a good idea. So in other words, we're not in a situation where if we simply take several months, we may be running up against other problems. But you have the option of doing that. You have the option of recommending approval with conditions of the preliminary plan as it's been presented, knowing that they have to come back with the final plan. It's a question of, it's really up to the Plan Commission. I thought that the issue of access on IDOT was an IDOT determination that we didn't have any way to alter, and that it had been reviewed, and our village engineer had reviewed the civil engineering plans. So as I sit here, I don't think staff has any particular knowledge that there's a fatal flaw in the way the site is accessed. So I went, I went in there the other day, but I understand. The question is, would they change the access for some future use on the site? Or, is there a way to change it that where it lines up, or do you have?
Looks to me like the only change. It looks to me like the only change required would be the inward driveway to the property we're talking about. The other three, Milwaukee Avenue and Inverary, could stay the same, but just that whole property is going to be redone anyway. Then there's going to be a new driveway.
Ali, excuse me, sir. We don't allow comments from just what people are sitting. Ali, maybe you can explain what your conversations with IDOT have been.
Yeah, so for access onto our site, IDOT has sole jurisdiction of the access. So it won't be up to the village. Even if village has suggestions, it has to be up to IDOT's approval. Initially, we showed it right in, right out on Milwaukee and full access where it currently is. And now it is upgraded. So you'll have on the plans, it will show you'll have a right turn lane into the facility. Okay, you'll have a right arrow out of Milwaukee going north, and then you have a straight and arrow going south. So going to Inverary and then going south on Milwaukee. That is what IDOT approved. IDOT, now we don't have permits because we have to do signal improvements. So that is going to require a whole signal improvement package per IDOT standard. That's something we have to do. That's not something QuikTrip is necessarily elected to do. That is what IDOT is requiring us to do. So that's ultimately it's up to IDOT. Nobody else has jurisdiction on Milwaukee except for IDOT.
Chair, if I can just make it plain for me. Is there a stoplight at your property proposal for traffic north and south on Milwaukee, as well as turning in and out of your property?
Correct. So there'll be four stoplights. So we'll have four mast arms. So one facing east, one facing into our property for Inverary to go in, and then north and south. That makes sense.
So the north and south would have a turn, there would be a turn lane going
into our property. There will be a right turn lane.
There would be a left turn lane south into your property on Milwaukee.
If you're heading south, okay, and then a left turn lane heading south, correct. Correct.
Okay.
Did you ever ask IDOT about aligning the entrance into the QuikTrip site so that it was perpendicular to Milwaukee?
So the traffic study, I believe we had it aligned that way. I'm not sure. I can be sure. We've sent a couple versions to IDOT. But the version that we have that's shown on our site plan is the current version that IDOT approved. And then now it's just going to full plans according to IDOT. So we do have KLOA working on this, and they'll do the full plans for IDOT.
So again, that light we just talked about, that's the only ingress egress for your property?
Correct. There will be no other.
Or for your project, right?
Right. It will be for us and the other development in the future.
Would be in through that same entrance for that 1 acre behind your property?
Well, it's to the north of our property. So it's not direct.
To the north. Thank you. That would be the only way in though?
Correct. That's the only way in IDOT would allow.
Yeah, I think it may be this angle that's. Okay, it was straight then. That's right. Okay.
Are there any other comments or questions from commissioners? I just have one comment, and this is not going to surprise anybody. I think approving a fossil fuel facility in that location is a crazy idea. I cannot approve another fossil fuel station. There are so many in that vicinity. I was not happy about Thornton's. I voted against approval of Thornton's, or the recommendation of Thornton's. I feel the same about this.
I don't know what the sense is if you want to.
Do you want to, what's the sense of the commission? Do you want to vote on making a recommendation? Or do you want to consider more information at a later time? What is the sense of the commission?
Well, I appreciate the comment that the gentleman made with respect to the EV stations, but I didn't hear him say anything about a willingness to have a conversation with his neighbors. And that clearly is a point of concern from our community. And it's also been a point of conversation from the commission this evening with respect to the broader conversation on sustainability, all the way to your last comment. I heard what our attorney said with respect to Lake County and their zoning, and then I hear our community say they have line of sight or a perspective a little different. I always appreciate hearing from, you know, our colleagues on insights on the project and diligence that's been done. It just does seem to me we have several threads of unreadiness. And I understand there's always a time on a project. I understand the time on the project, but I also appreciate the dynamics for diligence to run its course.
Would the Plan Commission be available for another meeting in late April?
I'm here to serve.
Available.
Yeah, I mean, so if you decide to continue the discussion, perhaps we could agree on a date, and that would give us a timeline to aim for, to try and have a few discussions, at least to clarify some of the issues better for you. The next regular Plan Commission meeting is after the next board meeting. So if we can meet before then we have an opportunity to have, you know, a different set of, at least express what the Plan Commission position is more clearly to the board before they have the annexation vote.
Board is meeting on the 21st.
21st.
So are you proposing we meet before that?
Well,
that's next week.
No, I would say after that, but before the May meeting of the board.
Okay.
I personally have good availability the week of the 20th, but a little bit more complicated the following week. So with like the 23rd or work.
Plenty of availability at some times.
Yeah, I'm not related to the meeting, but I'm thinking right now, just because we seem to be kind of stalling here a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm clear what's going to happen before the next meeting to make the meeting productive, or else we're just kind of stuck here. So are you going to have a meeting with the community of some sort, or are you expecting, because this will not be an open meeting, right? So,
correct.
Right. So any input that we're going to get more comfort from our neighbors, and none of you are from Riverwoods, correct? Is that right? I mean, just and it doesn't mean I don't care about you. It just means, but
Deerfield on Inverary and the Country Green neighborhood that is the end of Inverary.
Okay.
Or the community that's direct across the street from.
Yeah, no, I just was clarifying in my.
I think what brings them into focus for our conversation, though, is the property needs to be annexed, right, to bring it into our jurisdiction, right? And then the bigger question on the matter on the table, yay or nay for the proposal of the project. And my comments around, the conversation with the neighbors is in alignment as what we've done before on other projects, but also just to my conversation with the gentleman early in his testimony, you're a good community neighbor, you show up well in the community, et cetera, and he responded in the affirmative. But I don't know, this gentleman asked about a trail, but the other things that I heard were much more substantive, that there's a concern that a trail won't fix. And to your question about what happens in the next 2 weeks to resolve these open matters, it seems to me more than just a trail conversation. But again, I sense there's unreadiness here to move this forward at this time.
Maybe we should try and list what you think the open issues are. One of them, at least if I'm trying to summarize them, one of them was a concern about pollution of the aquifer. We may be able to clear that up just by the fact that they're getting water from Lake Michigan over there, so there's no drinking water.
Yeah, clarify for 1 minute. Well, the ultimate task of this hearing is the Plan Commission suggested to approve annexation or not? Is that where we are supposed to wound up? Because if that's what we're supposed to,
No, our task is to consider zoning, assuming that the board proceeds with annexation. In other words, we're doing the zoning work in advance of the annexation discussion by the board. So we're taking it, the board directed the Plan Commission to consider this because the board is interested in annexation. So we're assuming that the board is looking toward annexation, and before it does so, it wants to have the Plan Commission discussion on zoning.
So what would a motion be tonight that we would vote on?
To recommend approval to the board of the property being zoned to the B1 Neighborhood Business District, and to recommend approval of the granting of a special use in accordance with the preliminary plan that's presented as part of the packet.
And we could add, if there were specifics that we wanted.
You could add conditions.
Okay. So to us, are there conditions that we would want to add to that if we're ready to consider this?
Well, one for sure is requiring that EV charging stations be included in the final plan. I heard that.
I think one was landscape considerations.
Yes.
Yes, I think landscape considerations, and looking at the plans, there's a significant amount of the property that doesn't involve the building at all. That's just property, and the back part that's going to be question mark.
It's floodplain. Most of that is floodplain. So therefore, that's what I'm talking about, native buffering and things like that. It's not a...
Yeah, so maybe that's a condition that there be native plantings there or something.
Be careful with that too, because the watershed development ordinance would have restrictions on how much you can do with that, because that's also considered site development.
I mean, in other words, what we were trying to say is that by complying with the watershed development ordinance, it will have to...
In compliance with, yes. I just want to make sure we're clear of that. We can't just rework that entire back area without adding to the amount of stormwater detention that has to be provided on the site or other issues. I don't believe the wetlands are far enough into the property to be a concern, but the rest of that would be.
From my standpoint, I would be willing to live with our current stringent ordinances that require for this piece of property, unless I'm missing something. It seems like we have rules that they have to follow that I would expect that we enforce. related to, you know, all the environmental issues, the trees, the plantings, all of that. It seems like to place a burden on them that is beyond what we normally place. I'm not quite sure I'm understanding why we would do that.
Well, we do sometimes as a condition of a special use when it's necessary to minimize adverse impact to adjoining property. So for example, you know, special buffering or screening of headlights or something like that. We do add beyond what our normal ordinances require if there's a need for it. In this sense, the back of the property is a floodplain is a special situation, and the rules which of the watershed development ordinance are, we enforce them, but they're complicated in terms of balancing what you plant, how you do it, because you're trying to allow the water to, do its thing there. So,
could we legitimately put as a condition that says that the potential developer should meet with area residents before there's a final vote? So that should be
you can make that recommendation as a condition.
Honorableness and kindness that the people will want in and the people want to protect themselves is normal. And I'd like to see that kind of meeting. And I'd like that be conditional on this.
That can definitely be a condition.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm reading at the top of the page here. We're not being asked this evening to approve the development of the project in a favorable recommendation to the board. We're being asked to approve an ordinance to grant special use.
You're not approving it. You're recommending to the Board of Trustees that it should be granted on the basis of the preliminary plan only, with the expectation that the final development plan has to be submitted before the board would adopt that ordinance.
Great. I thank you for the clarify. And then the special circumstances that we just ticked off could be attached to.
Those are conditions for the board to consider in the, basically saying, before you approve the final development plan, here's things to think about. Then the board takes those conditions and say, have you met with them? Have you done this? What's the landscaping? Show me the revision that shows where the EV charging station is. You know, maybe they want to see some further documentation from IDOT on how that intersection is configured. All those things would be, before the board. If there's a material change, the board would have to send it back to the Plan Commission from the preliminary plan. That's the way it works.
Thanks for kind of bringing it home for us there. That's really helpful, just to kind of understand exactly the question on the table and the ability to attach these things that we've been kind of thinking out loud with here for the past few minutes.
The Plan Commission is an advisory body. You don't approve anything. You don't make a final determination. You have these kinds of conversations. You learn things that the board doesn't have time or inclination to learn, and then you transmit your concerns and conditions to the board so that they have that in front of them. We write a report saying that, and one of the things the report would say is that some of the people on the Plan Commission don't favor this use at all, which is what we did with the.
And then I guess just to accompany that, so in favor of the Quick Trip conversation, they could send favorable correspondence to help the board understand their thoughts and concerns just as much as community interests could also send communication or correspondence to the board with the same.
Right. And the public is also, you can come to the annexation hearing before the Board of Trustees. April 21st.
Public?
Yes. 7:30.
So I would say, with the condition that we all agreed that whatever the proper word is, I don't think we have to meet again, I guess is what I'm saying. I think we've all come to an understanding. We have agreed there are some conditions, and would we be ready to move forward on a vote?
It would be to move to recommend to the board that the preliminary development plan for the special use and the zoning of the property to the B1 district is recommended by the Plan Commission, subject to these conditions. Did you get that, Jerry?
No.
I'll never be able to repeat it.
Lost that, then you say any special use.
Preliminary development plan.
Be accept that the preliminary development plan would be accepted with additional considerations for sustainability matters, community community conversation, community resolution of matters community constituents brought forward. The gentleman already stipulated the EV charging, but I think it's important to have that kind of specially called out as well in the message.
Enhancements to landscaping.
Yes, thank you. The enhancements to the landscaping that we discussed as well. I think those three are right. Sustainability, community, EV charging, and landscaping. That's 4.
Right. And the last part of it, that was the recommending the approval of the preliminary development plan, the granting of the special use, and the zoning of the property to the B1 neighborhood business district. The underlying zoning is B1.
Can I say so moved?
You can.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Do we do a voice? I mean, we do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Blaylock,
Aye.
Commissioner Brown,
Aye.
Commissioner Bizarre,
Aye.
Commissioner Gratiter, Commissioner Romanelli,
Aye.
and Chairperson Brightcoff.
No.
And motion passes 5-1.
Can I suggest that, I forgot your name, but you were representing the group of owners? If you would give your contact information to Director Witt, you know, we might be able to provide some information to you along with whatever follow-up you have with Quick Trip. So that
We plan to attend the April 21st with several more people. We'll get the word out to Prairie.
right.
Lots more people.
Well, can I revisit just one thing, just real quick? The traffic light, is there anything that we can, it seems like it's in everybody's best interest to make that as safe an intersection as possible. And I understand why it shouldn't be in what we just discussed. But is there anything that we can facilitate as a community to ask IDOT to, it seems like they're going to want it, we want it, it's something that we need.
I think what we should do is insist that the traffic engineer from KOLA be present at the next meeting. And our village engineer should then also be present, and we should have the engineering experts advise us on what they've looked at and done.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that tonight.
That would be great. Thank you.
We should all drive over there, pull into Sale Barn and try to come out of there, go straight.
And thank you very much.
Or go down to the end of Inverary, 14 cul-de-sac during rush hour and try to get out onto Milwaukee Avenue and see how many light cycles you have to sit.
And just out of curiosity, do you have Lake Michigan water now?
It's not gonna be like you say, it's gonna
We
be
still
a
have
mixture
to
of the
power-
Carroll Water District with Michigan water.
If it
So you
happens.
ain't getting like Michigan water right now.
Not happening yet.
I'm so confused. Well, I'll take this up later because this is, I'm so startled by that.
All of those trees currently are planted well along the road. Like if you drive around that loop, they're embedded.
I would be very remiss if I don't mention again that there's a historical landmark. There is the oldest school in Illinois. Like, what are we doing with it? Where is it going? Where are you putting it? Like, I'm a teacher and I'm like, I'm passionate about it. I've lived in this zip code my entire life, 60015. Where are you putting it? Like,
So that's the power of what Attorney Huvar was just mentioning about the things that you can kind of work through between our next public hearing. Really appreciate you sharing that. Thank you.
Bill students and moved to school during the first. The school itself is not a certified as a historical department, right? There's, unless the structure is certified as a historical structure, it's not protected, right? Now, well, figure out somebody that would like to have that school building, have it. I mean, I'm sure they would love somebody to come vote it up on a plan and pick it out the same way you got, right?
I just wish they had interest in preserving it versus just being someone who's gonna show up at the table. Hey, don't worry.
Bill tried to find.
Yeah, thank you.
Just want to make it fair, it's not rich. Thank you.
No.
Okay, do we have any old business to discuss? I don't see any listed. Staff report, Director Witt.
Other than it's the quickest update for Nordic Spa.
Excuse us. Thank you so much. Excuse us.
We have some more meetings.
Still trying to wrap our meeting. Thank you.
If you folks want to, excuse me, if you folks like to talk outside, that'd be fine. Thank you, everyone.
You mentioned that in prior connections. Who did you say so that they can contact us or let us know?
Get your email to Director Witt.
If you just want to write your information here, that'd be great. I'll get in touch with you, please.
How do we find the names of board members?
It's online. Go to Village of Riverwood's website. Yep. Okay.
Yes, here.
Thank you, everyone, for your input. Director Witt.
All right, so just a quickie, the only other thing we have coming down the pike is the Nordic Spa product.
Could you speak into the microphone a bit more, please?
Am I not?
We can't hear you.
We're on. The only thing that we have coming down the pike, as you may know, is the Nordic Spa project for the Walters Clear site. They have asked the village to actually push back their hearing in front of the Plan Commission to give them more time to better refine the product that they're going to present to you. So that meeting is scheduled at the moment for the July hearing, at which time it pushes them back to potential board approval in November, but that gets them where they want to be to have a formal approval prior to the beginning of December so that they can close as part of their letter of intent. But no additional or new drawings available to share at this point.
So the hearing will be in July?
It would be in July at this point.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
The only comments I have is we have discussed, the staff and I have discussed whether or not we want to have all of our communications be digital, the documents be digital. And I ordinarily I would say yes, but then looking at these documents online was very, very difficult. So maybe some combination of digital and for larger plans, the paper, so that we can read it. But I don't know what other commissioners think about getting documents digitally.
I agree. I prefer digital, but these last ones, when you couldn't read them and when you tried to blow them up, the resolution meant you still couldn't read them. So
The question that I would have from our perspective would be, how big is big? Is 11 by 17 adequate for your review? Or are you looking for 24 by 36 and have a challenge on trying to put it on a table? I'm just trying to understand
This size?
what would best suit the commission for plans.
I think this size is readable, and you can always use a magnifying glass on it.
So what we could do is we could do a combination, what we can accomplish in 8.5 by 11 text and maybe some smaller diagrams. We'll go that route. We would still give those documents as part of the 8.5 by 11 scan, but we would supplement the packet with larger drawings, the 8 and the 11 by 17s for any plan views, if that would work.
Yeah, my only comment is, if I get something electronically and I'm going to get something delivered to my home, which is wonderful when that happens, I don't want to print it at home and then start reviewing that and then get the stuff at home. I also don't want to have to figure out what you sent me electronically and what is, it would have been really hard for me to put this packet together in pieces. So, I tend to like to look at it on paper, even though I'm a computer guy. It's just these meetings just lend themselves to that because of circling something and drawing on it. And so I loved your stickies, by the way. We'll have to adopt that for the next meeting.
Can't do that on a
Staff is
digital,
willing-
but
Staff is willing to present to you however you want to go. So if you choose to have it all paper, we're willing to do that.
I'd really like to try to avoid paper, but it's just so hard to read the plans digitally.
What you can do when you're done with the plans is hand it back to the village to be recycled, which is what we do
Yeah, it's
in my
true.
town.
But you're still printing it on paper. If we can avoid the paper, but I don't,
Right, but we could, if you, I think as Attorney Hubert is suggesting, is that if the commissioners bring their packets to the meeting, I will collect those and make sure that they're properly recycled so that we're not just putting them into the trash. So that brings forth a higher level of sustainability that we're doing at the moment.
which is good.
Maybe it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we could ask the developer to provide the paper, or we could establish some kind of plan room, right? Where we could come in and take a look at this, but it's all, I too agree, having it in hand is a lot easier to work with than the limitation of having it on a monitor. I don't think I think the 11 by 17, that's workable, right? It doesn't tax our resources, and we're not at, a local copier store to, get something larger. And also just the level or the frequency of occasions. I don't think we're offsetting, the budget or the sustainability concern. So package paper, that would be great to continue.
So we'll try a hybrid. And if that doesn't work, we'll try something else.
Very good.
Thank you. That's it. Any other comments from commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good night.